Good morning, good morning. Getting a little bit of a late start coming into the market because I was running my kids off to a day camp today. I did take a couple of trades pre-market, and honestly it didn't go very well. I did get caught in this chop a little bit. Took 2 trades, took 2 losses. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, B Frosty. I know, Nico, this has been a bad morning. I actually contemplated, I was like, should I even get on? This looks terrible. But to be totally transparent with you guys, I tried to manage a couple trades from my phone, which is always a bad deal anyway. Totally should not have done it. I know better than that. Looking back at my journaling, when I try to chart and trade from my phone while multitasking, it's always a mess. So I did take 2 trades this morning and got caught in the chop. So the mixture of trading from my phone and being distracted along with the choppy market. Took 2 losses. I kind of had a short bias. Took a short on this the strong candle break below VWAP there. I entered short, got wicked out. And then on this one right here, entered short on the retest and rejection of VWAP, got stopped out. So we'll see if, what I'm waiting for right now is see if we get an initial balance play. If we come down to initial balance low and maybe get a failed auction, grab some of this liquidity over here and we bounce, we can take a long. Or, this is looking pretty weak in my opinion, and there's lots of orders lower. So if we break below the initial balance and we retest, we could possibly continue lower. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. Yeah, not a good phone trader at all. And I think it's not necessarily because it's from my phone. It's because when I'm on my phone, I'm multitasking. I was making breakfast for the kids and having them grab their shoes and running out the door and all that. So I wasn't 100% focused. Whereas when I'm at my desk and I'm on my computer, this is all I'm doing. I'm focusing on trading. So I think that is why, for me, I'm not a good phone trader. I know better. Tomorrow I'll be running the kids off to camp too, so I'm gonna make a promise to myself to not trade from my phone while I'm trying to get them ready. You live and you learn, right? How are you guys doing this morning? Has anyone taken any trades? You guys green? You red? How's it looking for you? B Frosty, did you take profit on your short and you're out, or are you still short on ES? All right, there we go. That was a big drop down. That's what I figured it was gonna do. Figured it was coming. It just didn't look like it was ready to make a decision yet. All right, so it broke below the initial balance low. Let's see if we start to have buyers show up and we get a bounce, or if this is going to be continuation lower. To me, honestly, it looks a little bit weak. I'm not too interested in taking a failed auction long yet. I'd like to see buyers get strong before doing that. B Frosty, awesome. You're short ES and you already moved to break even. Just riding into the profits now. Sasmet, break even, 2 losses, 1 win. You know what? You can call that a win today. Because with this choppy market, not getting caught up in the chop too much and being red, that's a win, in my opinion. So good for you. That means you are managing your risk well. Let's see what we get. I kind of glanced at Bookmap a while ago. I know there's a bunch of orders at 900 on NQ. Or there were. Looks like those got taken. And we have a lot lower. Like we have some at 825, 812. So this, if you zoom out, you guys might have already done this, but this is a big area of chop and consolidation here. It's a pretty high volume area. If you zoom out and look at the visible range volume profile, it hasn't loaded up yet. But you'll see it here in a second. This is a pretty high volume area, and it was last week's point of control. That's where a lot of the orders are on NQ. So I could see it coming down to this general area, 830, 840-ish, something like that. Yeah, it is a difficult day for sure. I kind of have gotten the pattern with no news Mondays though. This is, if I remember right, this is the 3rd Monday in a row where we haven't had news. And the last 2 Mondays were super choppy, just like annoying price action. So I was kind of like mentally ready for it today, which makes me even more mad at myself for taking these 2 phone trades and 2 losses, just knowing that it was going to be, or having a feeling that it was going to be a difficult day. Difficult as in difficult to trade. Wins or losses don't define our day. Yep. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but sometimes it's hard to like separate trading from family and like relationships, you know? It's almost like having a bad day at work and coming home and being able to separate the two. I have to remind myself that like I need to be patient and like it's not my kid's fault. Sometimes I get a little bit I guess my patience wears thin if I've had like a red day or I'm frustrated with myself in my trading and then I get snappy with my kids or something. So I've had to become aware of that. Not let it define my day. Losses are a part of the game. Break even is a win in my book. Absolutely, especially on a day like this, where there's all this choppiness and like you can start to get into that tilt mode where you're like flipping long, short, and before you know it, you're down $800 and you didn't even realize what you did. So like staying out of the chop and not letting yourself take too many losses, managing your risk, that's definitely a win. Yeah, I'd be open to that. Mark Douglas has an exercise of taking the next 20 trades instead of the next trade. Do you mean like kind of just zooming out and looking at the bigger picture instead of like that one loss, but looking at the greater picture of wins and losses over the long run? Is that kind of what you're talking about? All right, so it definitely looks like it's breaking below the initial balance low. If we can get a possible retest somewhere up here around like 908, something like that, I might take a short. Breakout retest, something like that. Maybe put stop loss roughly around there and then target that point of control. See if we can dump all the way down there. See if we get a little bit of a higher retest. Yeah, zooming out and looking at the probabilities and just kind of looking at it as data is super helpful. Kind of helps remind you that losses are a part of the game or a part of the process. Save it for later and you will thank me. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Especially if this market stays choppy and gross like this, then I shouldn't be staring at my screen looking for a trade. That'd be a good reason to go listen to that video. So we came up to initial balance low. Let's see if we can start to get a rejection before possibly entering short. Pretty good buy up there. I want to see sellers start to reject it first. Those 2 videos work like magic. You're doing a good job of selling those videos, Sasmit. No, I agree with you. Coaching in general, like whether you're coaching sports or like mindset or psychology, like any of that stuff. It's funny how you can hear the same thing over and over, but if one person says it differently, it really like sinks in. So it kind of depends. Like maybe he just said it in a way, put it in a way that really just resonated with you and made you get it finally. See if sellers are going to bring it back below initial balance low. All right, I'm going to enter a short. Looks like we broke into initial balance low or broke out of initial balance low, got a little retest, and then sellers are rejecting. The risk to reward was decent on it. $899.75 was my actual entry. And then 826-ish is where last week's point of control is. Not sure if we'll get all the way down there, but we do have orders on Bookmap right around that like 825 to 812 area, so it's definitely possible. Yeah, that too, Be Frosty. Like you could have heard that same info 2 years ago, but you just weren't ready to hear it. So now that you're like at a different part in your journey, maybe that information applies or makes more sense to you now. Very true, very true. All right, we're gonna get some continuation lower. Initial balance low is at like 900.5, so we're sitting right there. Throw on a little anchored VWAP on this low so we can see when sellers start to regain momentum, if it's going to happen. I don't know why, but I'm feeling a little bit nervous about shorting just because we've already sold off quite a bit today. And like the last couple of weeks, we've been making all-time highs over and over and over. So taking shorts right now, I don't know if anyone else has been feeling it, but it makes me nervous to short right now. Well, we're breaking back into that initial balance. Sellers aren't bringing it lower yet. I don't like that. It started to look weak. Come on. Go lower. Top Cat short on ES, you've been scaling out and you're looking lower for the gap fill. Was there like an RTH gap fill or the Sunday night open? I know NQ opened up with a gap, but it filled it overnight. So what are you talking about on ES? Maybe RTH, is that what you're talking about? Where is it? I never switch over to RTH. There we go. Oh, that gap fill. That's what you're talking about. 62.76-ish. Well, that makes sense on NQ too. That's kind of where my target is, around the point of control area. It would be like 844-ish. We'll see if it gets down there. Still kind of flirting with that initial balance low. Not breaking below it yet. So Top Cat short, yes. B Frosty, you said you were short, yes. What are you targeting, B Frosty? Similar to Top Cat, the gap fill? Come on, let's just go down. I know it's been slow all morning, but now that I'm taking a trade, you're supposed to move fast and just dump to my target. Like, real quick, right? That's how it works. That's how I want it to work. Oh. Using volume profile to find your targets. Cool. Yeah, I like using volume profile for targets. That's actually how I've got this general gray shaded area. If you zoom out to the higher time frame, give it a second to load. It's thinking. I've noticed that the visible range volume profile, it takes a while to load when I'm like recording a video or streaming. It's still not loading. You can see the little circle, the eyeball circling. It's thinking. I don't know, it might not come up, but that's how I found this gray shaded box. And you can even see it like with all this chop here, consolidation, there's a lot of it. So if it comes down there, that could definitely be a big area for support. Nice. Yeah, so similar, I have a similar experience with volume profile. I've always heard from people like the big traders that make millions of dollars a year, they all say like you need to learn how to read volume. And I always just thought they were talking about this little volume chart down here. And I mean, I use that sometimes, but I never really found this to be super helpful because I don't know. I know some people use it, but then I started to figure out volume profile and session volume profile and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. Maybe this is what they were talking about in terms of learning how to read volume. So yeah, it's definitely helped me a lot. I keep my poker chips in my hand while trading. It helps me think in terms of probabilities. Interesting. No, I've never done that before. I have heard of different hacks though to like really make you think about this as like actual dollars that you can put in your pocket. Because sometimes with prop firms, you know, you're like, it's just $100 eval, like it's not real money, and it's easy to start over trading and sizing up and basically gambling. So I've heard of people doing different things with like actually having cash on their desk and like moving, if they make $100 on a trade or $500 or whatever, like moving that cash over into their wallet just so that visually they can see it and like kind of quantify that this is actually real money. If I stay consistent with this can turn into a real payout that goes into my bank account. So yeah, there's definitely little hacks like that to help with the mental, emotional side of trading. Well, it does seem to me like this is kind of consolidating for a bigger move down. It's just a matter of, did I put my stop loss in the right spot, or am I going to be stopped out before it moves down? My stop loss is a little bit tight. I'm definitely not getting vibes though that this is a failed auction and buyers are just gonna like shoot this to the moon. Although it could be, because there were these two wicks over here, kind of grabbed that liquidity and bounce up from there. That's a possibility. Got stopped out on that one. Hey Marcus, looking for a bounce back to VWAP before it goes down. Yeah, that's possible. I could also wait for it to break this low of day VWAP and then put the stop loss above this wick if that ends up being the high. So that's what I'll wait for at this point, is either a bounce higher to VWAP before it rejects or a breakdown below this anchored VWAP. We'll see which one happens first. $9.43 has a nice confluence with VWAP and point of control. Point of control for the current session. Yep. You're right. The session VWAP, I have it around 947-ish, and then the New York anchored VWAP is right in line with point of control. So yeah, that one definitely makes sense. Although, I mean, it could break below this low a day VWAP right here, right now. Don't want to get chopped out though. Yeah, we could see how it reacts up at this level at 928, which is where I have my point of control and New York VWAP, and then there's all this consolidation zone too, so that could be resistance. Or previous week value area high, which is in line with the session VWAP. Couple possibilities if we get a little bounce. How's your trading this morning, Marcus? Are you surviving this chop? Green. Awesome. Very nice, very nice. Almost done for the day. Just looking for one more good trade. Kind of looks like it just wants to go down from here. Looking weak. Yeah, Marcus, wait for a good setup. You don't want to give back your profits. That's always the worst. When you're like up a good amount and you're like, all right, I'll just take one more trade. And then, that one more trade makes your green be less green and then less green. And you have to stop yourself at some point. Yeah, it really looks like it wants to dump straight from here and not even go back up to VWAP and retest. Might as well have my dinner while we chop around. Yep. You aren't missing much. What's for dinner, Sasmit? What are you having? Beans and rice. It's called Rajma rice. I didn't know that. Do you add anything to it, or is it just beans and rice? Do you guys eat it like with tortillas or bread or anything like that? I pronounced it perfectly? Well, good. Yeah, I figured there were tons of spices. It's probably good. You guys, I'm kind of wanting to short from here. It's just looking weak. It looks like it doesn't even want to bounce up to VWAP. I hope it gives us another setup. Missing out on the market open definitely makes it hard to trade. Like mentally, I just feel like I already am starting off with FOMO, even though I didn't really miss any good price action today. I just feel like, there's not that much time left. I need to find a trade. That's kind of what I'm battling in my head right now. Oh, I know. That's why I'm forcing myself to pause and really reflect on, do I want to enter? Do I want to wait? Trying to be smart about it. But definitely aware of what's going on in my head, which is good. I've gotten better at recognizing my emotions that pop up during trading, because then I know what I need to do. When I feel like I have FOMO, or I'm gonna like, my fingers are kind of getting itchy to click the button, it makes me pause and like sit there for a couple extra seconds and really think about, am I following my rules, or am I just entering because I'm gonna miss out on a trade? So I think that's one of the biggest steps in trading, is like learning how to recognize your emotions. Like, yeah, we all know that the biggest part of being a profitable trader is managing your emotions, but if you don't know what your emotions are and what your triggers are, how can you manage your emotions? So learning how to become aware of what type of things affect you, or what thoughts you have in your head, I think is a big step. Oh yeah, New York Open is at 7 p.m. That'd be rough. What about Sasmit? Do you trade London? I feel like London is a pretty good session. It moves pretty smoothly most of the time. Like sometimes, of course, it's choppy. It's not always that way. But a lot of times it seems like it just trends up and then it trends down. Like it's a really smooth trend. Go big or go home. That's great advice. Be frosty. Go all in. Max contracts. Let's go. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you have a 9 to 5 job, not trading London is probably smart. Because then, like you said, focus on one session, but also you'll probably be distracted. It's hard to trade if you're multitasking and only like half paying attention. All right, we're coming up to this point of control and New York anchored VWAP area. Oh, Sasma, you're resigning and going all in with trading. That's exciting. When is that happening? That's a big deal. Told him today. That's awesome. How long have you been trading, Sasmit? That's huge. I appreciate you guys. You're sharing with us sharing that with us. It's got to be exciting. I'm guessing there's lots of emotions, like super excited because you're gonna go chase your dreams, but also maybe a little bit nerve wracking because now you're like putting the pressure on yourself to perform. Just all kinds of emotions. All right. Starting to get a little bit of a rejection from that area. A year and 4 months. Awesome. Congrats again. That's cool. Best of luck to you. I hope it all works out. There's my visible range volume profile. I just had to turn it off and turn it back on. It was being weird. So this is giving extra confirmation. Obviously, a lot of the data is over here in the session volume profile, but there's quite a bit of resistance here. So if I was to be looking for a short, I think I'd put my stop loss there, but it could still come up to VWAP. So, gonna be patient here. Let's see if it rejects here or if it goes up to the next VWAP. I kind of like rejection from here. All this chop and consolidation kind of turning into resistance. Yeah, Josh, it is very ugly today. Very ugly. Still kind of chopping around right there. I'm going to take a small position from here, and then if it moves up further to VWAP, I can add, or if it breaks below and holds below this low of day anchored VWAP, I can add there. So 920.5 is where my entry is. I just like this anchored VWAP point of control as an area for rejection instead of coming all the way up here, mostly because of this visible range volume profile. All this chop over here I think is serving as some resistance, but since I sized down, I do have some room to let it come up to this VWAP. And then if it breaks below this anchored VWAP, I'll probably put my stop loss right above these wicks at 934. All right, coming down. Let's see if it bounces up off of this anchor VWAP and buyers continue to defend their positions, or if sellers are going to take back control. Buyers and sellers don't know what they want to do. Nobody's taking control. I checked the news early this morning and there was nothing. But I know every once in a while they'll add on like something about Trump talking. Or like some speaker randomly gets added to the calendar. Yep. And that happened exactly. This morning there was nothing. And now Trump is signing executive orders later this afternoon. That's at 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern. So I'll probably be done trading by then anyway. Tomorrow is the tariff deadline. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects things tomorrow. I wonder if we're going to get some crazy wick action and volatility. What are your guys' thoughts on the tariff deadline tomorrow? Do you have a bias? Is it going to make things like go through the roof because we signed a whole bunch of deals and came to agreements? Or is it going to dump because we have to go back to 200% tariffs with China? I haven't really been paying much attention to like what people are predicting. So I'm curious if any of you guys have an opinion. Or it could just be a bunch of indecision and it just is choppy and wicky and takes everyone out. I love your honest answer, Beef Frosty. I just know that I know nothing. That's about how I feel. I don't have a smart answer. My answer is I haven't been paying attention, so I don't know. So you guys in the chat are supposed to tell me what I know. Or I'll go ask ChatGPT later. ChatGPT knows all. I'll get the answers there. Yep, it's not really tradable, so I'm not paying much attention to it. I feel ya. It kind of makes me nervous to trade tomorrow, maybe, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, I just feel like there might be a lot of random tweets and like announcements and meetings and speakers and all kinds of like comments that are just going to make things wick in either direction. That's kind of my thoughts for tomorrow. All right. Coming back to that point of control, New York anchored VWAP area. The session VWAP I have sitting at 946. Let's see if we get some continuation lower. Come on. ES looks pretty weak. Yeah, I believe it. I feel like NASDAQ looks pretty weak too. Yep, ES looks like it wants to go down. I've never turned the session volume profile on for ES because I don't really trade it. But I feel like you would have to change the inputs and change it to like 200 or something. Oh, no. Because when you have the just two boxes, it's hard to tell. Like, that's not helpful. At least with NQ, there's a couple. It just looks pretty funny, that indicator on ES. All right, come on, let's get a rejection. That's a good spot to sell from. Come on, sellers. Get below this anchored VWAP with some strength, with some conviction, close below it, and I'll add to my position. Because I'm thinking, based on Bookmap and then based on the levels that I have, I think we're going down to like 825-ish, potentially. Come on, let's go lower. $9.15 is your entry. All right. Very nice. I'm curious, Marcus, what's your thought on targets? Where are you thinking it's headed? $870-ish. Yeah. I see that level too. If you zoom out to like the 15 or the 30-minute time frame, let me turn off the session volume profile. There's that wick to the left at like 882, and then this kind of a long candle fair value gap ish around 868. I don't know. I just see this level to me feels like a magnet coming down to like anywhere between 815 and 830-ish. Looks like it wants to come down here. And I try not to get caught up in Bookmap, but Bookmap is kind of confirming that too, with 101 orders at 812. All right. Coming down. Breaking below that low of day anchored view up. We got a 1-minute candle closure below. We're not yet below the initial balance low. We bounced a tiny bit. Still kind of holding it. Looks like it wants to go though. All right, I added a couple to my position, so I'm 5 in now. And I do have my home run target down here at 815, but I'm definitely going to scale out before then. I have one set at 880 just to basically come back to the low. And then we'll see how price action goes. If it starts to get heavy, I can feel more confident about bigger targets, but if it stays choppy, I'll probably move this order up a little bit and not go quite so far down. I don't like how we're just not getting any continuation either direction. Just the whole day been like this. So having that big of a target is probably a bad idea unless something changes and we just start dumping. Come on, let's get some movement. very exhausted mentally. Gonna go play some PlayStation. Heck yeah. While listening to Mark Douglas. That's a great way to multitask right there. Have fun. Those two don't mix. I was actually thinking that. I feel like PlayStation is a good way to like just kind of escape the world and just like mentally not think about anything. But then you're listening to a video that's like making you think and learn and focus. But if that works for you, if that's how you escape from the markets and make yourself stop trading and not overtrade, then all right. If it works, go for it. Oh, I've never played that game, so I can't relate. Hey, Yasser, how's it going? I was late to the party too. I was dropping off my kids at a little day camp. Drop off was at 9 a.m. my time, Central Time, so 30 minutes after market open. So I was driving when the market was open. But it doesn't look like I missed much. This morning was a little bit gross. Doing all right. Like I was telling the group, tried to take a couple trades from my phone this morning, distracted while I was rushing the kids out the door. Took a couple losses. I think it was the combination of the fact that price action was choppy and stupid anyway, and then me being half distracted. It was a very bad recipe. So took two losses earlier this morning before I got on stream. And then took a small L here, and now I'm in another short. I'll turn on the session volume profile. It was rejecting at this point of control, which is also in line with the New York anchored VWAP. So rejecting there after it had kind of broken below the initial balance low. So in my mind, I was waiting for a failed auction and just kind of wanted to get a retest before entering short. So that was my retest at point of control and New York anchor VWAP. Some good confluence there. Entered a short, but it ain't going nowhere. It's stuck. Have a nice dinner, Marcus. Have a good one. Well, I have my stop loss here. That's where it actually is. We'll see if we get some continuation lower. If not, that'll be it for me. If this doesn't go lower, then I'm definitely not reading the market well today. Because I'm thinking shorts, but it's just not going lower. if you guys haven't already, go like the stream. I would appreciate it. It would definitely help. Especially since I got on late and won't be able to do it quite as long. Market's moving in a sleepy mode, turtle mode today. This is what it's like trading the Asia session. This green line that I have is the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. And it's been holding below that pretty well. It's been holding as resistance decently well. All right. That was it for me. That stopped me out. Alrighty. Now it's starting to break above point of control and above VWAP. Looks like that initial balance low was holding. Interesting. Go into the session without a bias and it works well for you? Yeah, I wouldn't say I had a bias necessarily. Like, I wasn't looking only for shorts. That was just how I was reading price action. Like, it kept rejecting VWAP, kept like making lower highs. It just seemed like price action was showing shorts. Yeah. It's kind of an annoying, choppy day today. And Bookmap, like all the liquidity on Bookmap is showing the orders are lower too. So it's interesting that it's just not going down. Well, you guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. That's it for me. I took a couple losses and obviously am not reading the market well. And then also price action is just choppy. Volatility is going down. I've actually gotten to where I watch the ATR, the average true range. And if it starts to get too low, then I know we're kind of getting into like a choppy, low volume market. And that's when my win rate goes down a lot. So that's it for me, you guys. I'm going to call it there. If you guys keep trading, trade safe. Be careful. Have a good one.